Welcome to Living Your Path. I am Cecile Ferry, a coach and astrologer. I'm here to guide you on how to live and work in alignment with your true self so you can find fulfillment and serenity. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the podcast. I have missed it. I have been sick and there's been a lot going on, so my apologies. I always come here as often as I can. And today I'm back and I'm on fire because I have such an inspiring podcast for you. Like, it all came to me recently and it makes so much sense, and I really feel like this message is powerful at this very specific time. But if you're listening to this in the middle of September or in a year from now, it is still the exact time for you. Please trust that. So I am really inspired to share with you today what's happening right now, because I'm going to talk about the energies around and what I've been seeing in my life and what I've been seeing in my clients' life, in my friends' life. This is a time of transition where we have the opportunity, the option to really step forward into a new chapter in our lives. And so what could be more important than that to talk about today, right? And it might not be an easy transition I'm going to talk about, but this is really a time where we have the opportunity to leave the old stuff behind and to move forward with like a clean slate and a brand new, fresh, exciting beginning. So I hope you're ready to be inspired. I'm just going to dive straight into it. So what am I talking about? First, with that context. So I just want to set the scene here, and I want to talk mostly astrology because it is so relevant. So we had a bit of things going on in March. I talked about it on my Instagram. So if you want to know what's going on astrologically with me, you've got two options. Either you sign up for my newsletter and I talk about it briefly in my newsletter, maybe once a month. So you can go, I'll put the link in the show note. Or you can follow me on Instagram, where I publish way more regularly than my newsletter, where you will see posts, you will see short videos where I talk about what is going on. So my Instagram handle is @livingyourpath. Okay, so what is been going on? So March was intense, especially the second half of March. Let's start here, right? Shall we? Maybe you've really felt it. I'm saying maybe, it's probably surely, right? Everybody I spoke to has felt it in some capacity. It was extremely loaded from an astrological and planetary point of view, and quite unique. We had a lot of stuff on top of each other, so many big energies at play. So we had the equinox, 20th of March, really a big change, like a switch in the season that happened twice a year. Different season and flavor in your life. We had two eclipses and they were big with lots of planets around them, mid-March and end of March. And they were actually in different signs. So it's like they were acting on two different parts of our life, double dose. Then we've been having a lot of retrograde energy when the planet Venus and Mercury have been kind of slowing down, and it really has an impact on our life because those planets are pretty close after the sun and the moon. So they really impact us. And I'm going to talk more about that. But they have been there to show us things and to make us slow down and think about stuff as opposed to forging ahead and just like moving on, but maybe missing some important clues, messages and insight. So they're there to teach us stuff. We've been having Venus retrograde. We're still in it for another week, 6 weeks all up. So since the beginning of March, and then Mercury just finished, but it was retrograde for 3 weeks between sort of mid-March to the 7th of April. So that has been added to it. Then we also started the new astrological year just to top it up. So we moved from Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, to Aries. That always marks the commencement of new things, new beginning. And then we had just last week Neptune moving into Aries, which happens only every 164 years, and again marks a massive new commencement for humanity. And lots to unpack there. If you want to know more, check out my Instagram. But I'm just setting the scene, right? From mid-March to kind of mid-April, we've got all this stuff happening, which is bound to make things move and transform and progress. And that's why I am here. So if you felt like things were happening in your life, you felt like waves, you think things, you've been seeing things happening to you, or you've done things, a lot of things have come to you, like this is absolutely normal. I won't use the word turmoil. No, I think it's more a time of intensity and a time of progression. I really like that word. Not just transition, but really progression. And we are all in that process, maybe at different levels of readiness, of awareness, and of healing as well. So these are the themes I'm going to be talking about today. So just see what resonates with you and don't feel like you're behind somewhere. You are just where you need to be in your life right now and flowing with it, and you're on pace. So don't compare to me, don't compare to anybody else, but I'm sure you've been feeling things happening to you, okay? So that's the background I wanted to cover first. So very simply today, I'm going to talk to you about releasing the old first, and then we're going to talk about bringing in the new. So starting with leaving the old behind, and that's the non-sexy stuff. Warning, it's not going to be all pink and happy news, but it is actually so important, and it's going to usher the transition into so many more beautiful things for you. So we need to talk about this, and we have no choice. We have been simmering in this for quite some time. I would say probably since the pandemic. And it's kind of come to like a pinnacle in the last few months. So we've been feeling a lot of Pisces energy. Again, I talked about that in Instagram. Just a quick recap if you haven't heard. We have a lot of planets in Pisces. Planets can be anywhere around the zodiac, usually quite spread out. Somehow, in March, just they all kind of stacked up like a Pisces stack, and they're still there as I'm recording this. So there's been the Sun, the Moon, obviously, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node. That is a lot of Pisces energy. And it was all in the final degrees of Pisces as well, like from 25 roughly degrees to 29 degrees. And so that means more intensity because it's the end of all the lessons and the energy we're getting from Pisces through those planets. Okay. So what does it mean? It means that we've been getting really closely in touch with our subconscious minds and with what was lying underneath the surface. So in particular, many of us have had really, really strong dreams, and you've had messages going through your dreams. We've had heightened levels of sensitivity and intuition. So if you like, we just picked up on more clues and messages than we did last year, same time. We've had some emotional waves, right? Think it's a water sign beyond all the floods and the storms and things we've seen around the world, unfortunately. Think about your own emotional floods, your own emotional storms. And I don't need to ask you, I'm pretty convinced you're nodding right now. There've been things happening in different areas of your life that have created those waves. And then we've had the North Node shifting from the end of January into Pisces and the South Node into Virgo after being in Aries for the last 18 months. And we've done the work there, and now it's in Pisces, and it's going to be there for 18 months, and it is our destiny. So that's where it is right now. So we have been guided. It's karmic, it's talking to us about where we are headed. And we got to trust that. Okay. And so what I've just said as well, we have been having Venus retrograde and a Mercury retrograde. Venus retrograde is still here actually and is bringing to the surface some insights, some stories, some patterns that are ready to be released when it comes to your relationships, your love life, your finances, and your sense of self-worth, how you value yourself. Does that ring a bell? We'll talk about it in a minute. And then Mercury retrograde is there to make us reassess our plans, taking our time, thinking through things more carefully, and looking at our mental patterns. Okay, so all of that has been dished out to us. We've been sinking into that for the last 2 months, basically. So step number 1 right now is the awareness, is you and I and everyone to become aware of all those old patterns that are ready to go. So it's like they are gifts in that energy. Are they nice gifts? No, because they're not the patterns we want to carry forward. They're patterns that we probably have had for quite some time. And they can really hold us back. And there's definitely an element of them blocking us going to the next step. And we've had lots of opportunities to see those patterns through previous eclipses or events in our life, right? And you know what I'm talking about. Let me talk a little bit more into details about all of those patterns and give you concrete examples. So the first step, look at the fact, look at how you've been feeling, look at your journal, what's been happening in the last couple of weeks for you, especially mentally and emotionally, and what has shown up in your life. So step number 1 is to be aware of those old patterns because they are ready to go. It's kind of the universe saying to you, hey, look at those things. Like, this is the stuff that's ready to go. This is the stuff you have outgrown. This is the stuff that you're ready to let go. So it's tough, right? Because you need to take a look at that kind of in the face, and it's your own life, and you do that in your own little corner. You don't need to tell anybody. But it takes guts and courage to look at those things yourself and to admit, okay, yeah, I've been doing that. I've been carrying that for quite some time, and I'm ready to work on that, to shift that, to let it go. So that's my question for you. What has come up in the last 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks? Really look at the stories, look at the events that have unfolded, especially through other people, because it's always a mirror of where you're ready to shift. So look at what is ready for you to look at and to change. What is ripe for healing? Really, really important. That is the first part of my message today. Those things have come through, I guarantee you, in your life. Have you been paying attention? Have you seen them? Have you observed, and have you really grasped the insight and where this was leading you to? It's not too late. Do the work. Even just journal. What's been happening in the last 6 weeks? Look at everything in your life, your family, your work, your finances, your friendships, your personal relationship, your health. I guarantee you won't have things happen in all of this, but things have been coming up to the surface. And I know a lot of you are really open and awakened, so to speak, and ready to hear those things. And maybe you're more new to this, and this is, a different cycle in your life, and that's okay too. And you're like, okay, I've never done this work before, or hasn't come up for me. That's fine. Just think back. Look as in you find clues to what's been happening. because I love you, because I really want to be of service, I am going to share some examples. And I just want to say that they're just examples. I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm probably going to miss some, but those examples come from my own stuff that's been playing out in the last 6 to 8 weeks, my client stuff, my friend's stuff. So I'm just gonna use that all as a sample, and I'm just gonna play it back to you, thinking that maybe some of it is going to resonate with something that's happened to you. So my only point here, my only goal here is to help guide you identify those things. Okay, here we go. So it's not extensive, but see what resonates with you. Okay, we'll start with the big one, relationships. What may have come up? Maybe patterns of not speaking up. And that resentment and that frustration, like finally hitting a level where you can't stand it anymore. Patterns of codependency and all the issues that come from that. Not valuing yourself enough in the relationship. Dating patterns. Things just happening over and over to you. Being too protective of some people, or being too possessive. Being afraid of commitment. Or having commitments breaking up, or you needing to relook at the commitment, reassessing. Insecurities in relationship imbalances, so where you give more than you receive, or when you choose what's familiar in relationship over what's healthy and good for you, or situations where people and relationship need to go in your life because they're no longer aligned, or you really feel like they're limiting you, or they're not aligning with where you are at or where you're going next. So those are examples of relationship. Now, when it comes to the sense of self, some of the patterns that may have come up are perfectionism, catching yourself, realizing you really drive yourself really, really hard and harder than what you need to. Self-doubt. That being over that constant, like not knowing or being confused and not feeling like you can do it, not feeling capable, or having that ongoing imposter syndrome, or the tendency to control, like the need to control to feel safe, because other than that, like you just can't. So you have massive anxiety until you can control everything. Or the tendency to rely on other people to give you what you need, or relying on external events to happen in order for you to feel good. The lack of self-love, or just not knowing how to really care for yourself and be connected with yourself. Or the lack of self-care. Or procrastinating. I could keep going, right? In your finances, maybe you are done with the struggles. Maybe, you've been seeing like these spending patterns, the same kind of problems or issues, the stuff coming up there, conflicts around money. Or let's talk about your career. Maybe you're really over feeling the way that you do at work every day, feeling like it's the wrong environment or it's the wrong job for you, feeling drained week after week, feeling a misalignment with your values, or with the leadership style of where you are. Finding it purely boring, or feeling like you've outgrown the role for quite some time. Basically, work not giving to your soul, not being aligned with what your soul wants, not giving you that fulfillment. Like you seeing those things, and maybe they're really coming to a point where you're like, okay, I've got to do something about that. Or it could be your health as well. Like you might be having issues that have been ongoing, some worries, or you just not having the time or having the energy or the space to look after your health. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, but that gives you example of all the stuff that may have been coming up, either through your dream, through your interaction with people, through events that happen to you. Be really focused on understanding those things. Be a little bit like a detective. The clue I have found is to notice what triggers you every day, just on a daily basis. Look at the events, whether you get an email and it just makes you feel like yuck, or it's a text message or something someone says. These are the gifts, these are the clues, right? When something feels bad, there is something underneath there. That's your gift, right? There's something underneath ready to be looked at, to be reconsidered, and in order to really then unpack it. So that's what I want you to do if you haven't done it already. Because like I sit with my clients, they've been doing the work, especially in the last year or two, and they come into the final stages, or they just did complete a lot of the work, where they really have unpacked it and worked through it. But maybe you're earlier on the journey, you're just noticing it and it's bugging you, but okay, you haven't done anything. So start really looking deeper and try to really understand what's happening. Look at it in the face for what it is and have compassion for yourself as you do that. Hold the space for yourself. And if you can't do it alone, use a trusted friend or a trusted coach or therapist, okay? And then start looking at transforming, at changing that narrative, changing the story, changing the way you see things, changing the way you have felt and carried maybe an emotional weight around those things. Maybe there is grief that hasn't happened or has been pushed down and not let, maybe you haven't let yourself beyond the grave because you were too busy or you had to care for other people. Now is the time to feel it and let it go. Maybe there are things that you need to forgive. Like, see what is the stuff that needs doing. And I guarantee you the eclipses and the retrogrades would have shown you where that is. So that is the first part of my message today. And it's not sexy, but oh my God, isn't it valuable? Isn't it like, they say the truth will set you free? I've definitely felt that in my life, and so have my clients. And maybe you have been on the journey for quite some time because you've worked with me or you've worked with other people, you've read things, you've been discussing with people that you trust, and you've been unpacking that yourself and you're getting there. And now, and I know some people in that space, and I feel like I'm in that space, things are starting to really come together because you see, we're never done fully with healing, but it's the completion of one big cycle. You got the messages, you got the lessons, and you looked at them and you shifted them and you went, no more. So out with the old. And maybe the old is still a little bit at the door and it's time to clean it up. That was a lot, wasn't it? Talking about releasing the old, okay? But I needed to start with that. We'll talk about it now because once we've done that, we're ready to move with the new, okay? So I'm incredibly excited right now and I'm just feeling like, and things are just starting to shift forward. There will even more from the end of this week after we have the full moon in Libra and we have Venus ending retrograde and starting to move forward again faster. Okay, so next week we'll feel it even more. Like I really feel right now the energy of a new beginning. So now is the time, my friend, to let the old patterns die, the old story, the old version of you. What you've been up to, what has defined you and what has blocked you and stopped you and annoyed you for the last 5 years. Let's just call it this way. And this is the time to shift that, get rid of that and create a different story, a new chapter in your life, a new vision for yourself and for your life. We all get the chance right now to start fresh. Like I said, new astrological year. Aries, Neptune into Aries, which just starts another 14 years of complete new beginning for humanity and for yourself. I really hope that you're going to feel that if you haven't yet, just in the next few weeks. And so what does that look like, that new beginning? It is soul-led. It's coming from your heart and your higher self and what your kind of inner self or higher version of yourself deeply wants. It's coming from your higher consciousness. I hope this makes sense to you. Because we came out of Pisces and that has been activated. We've been activated at that level. You know, the stuff that we've just felt, like the knowings, the intuitive hits that we've had. Okay, those things translate directly now into that new beginning. So we take them as little nuggets, as just things that crumbs, clues, nudges that we've received, and we turn them into, okay, therefore, what does the new me want? And I really invite you to take a journal, take a piece of paper, and to set up that current new vision for yourself. And be a little bold because it's Aries season, you can go for it. Like as if blank canvas. Everything is possible again. You get to choose again. It's like if you could start your life again today. What is the next phase looking like for you? And that is based on who are you now? Who is the new you that has emerged from all those transformations? And what does he or she want right now? What are your current values? And what is calling forth? What is inside of you that wants to just like really start to see the light of the day? What has been in the dark, dormant, sitting there, but that's ready to come out of the ground, to sprout and to blossom and to grow. I hope you get the metaphor. Okay, the seed was there and the seed has just been like just starting to come through the line of the earth, and you want to start seeing that flourish, grow and expand and burn a beautiful tree in your life over the next 10, 15 years. I know that's big, right? But think about what feels aligned now. And we're really talking about setting up your new basis, your new foundation for the next chapter. I don't know you, but this makes me feel really excited. It's been, frankly, a lot of work, a lot of stuff going on in the world in the last 5 years. And we are all ready, frankly, for like forward movement, new things, new beginning, new blocks in our life. New things we're bringing in, we are creating, okay? And those dreams you've been having have been starting to give you the clues as to what is ready for you to start coming to life. But that's why I talk first about removing the old, like decluttering, because you cannot build something new unless you do that. Cannot build something authentic and beautiful on all cranky foundations that are not in alignment with yourself, that you feel a dissonance towards. Okay, it needs to feel good, as in peaceful, calm, and very loving to yourself, and also full of hope. I hope this makes sense. Versus, closed and stressful and anxious and, like that tension, that pull between what it is that we want and but also how we're feeling about it. Like once that tension, once that old stuff is gone, then you feel like, okay, it doesn't feel like you can do anything like magic wand and life is perfect. No, but you have a different kind of peace. It's like you shift a little bit, like your timeline and how you vibrate and how you feel. Okay. So I have been seeing it in my clients, especially like the work we've been doing in the last year, and some of them it's been more than that. And when you've been doing the work, you see clearly, like you remove stuff. There is a bit of a phase where, you haven't seen yet what's new, but I guarantee you the new starts to sprout. And I just had like a coaching session this morning again, where we talked about the new phase, the new direction for that client. And she was so excited, but it's because she's been releasing all the old. And she had the space, and it could express itself. So you need to release and then build up the new, welcome the new. It's actually not like building as in you gotta really strive and push yourself. It's gonna come organically. It's a beautiful process. And I really feel that beautiful transition in my life and other people's life right now. So you gotta flow with it. But you have to, I know I've said that many times today, you have to let go of the old. And that can feel like painful work, but then you get the rewards. You really do. And so the energies are very supportive, and there is no rush. Like, you don't need to get that done by next week, but get on the journey and let yourself carry through, see what's come up, and look at the lessons and apply them. And then you will start seeing that creates space for new things, and those old desires will emerge again, and you'll be carried through, and off you go. So don't ignore the messages, the guidance, the clues you've been receiving. Literally, I feel like the universe has been broadcasting to us through dreams, through events and stuff. I really guarantee you've had a broadcast in your life. Have you been paying attention? And working on those things. And then from there, the new, it's very early for me to talk about the new because I'm just at the beginning of it myself in my life with my clients. So we need to look at it over the next 3 months, 4 months and see what unfolds. But so far, like, the energy of it is really exciting because it really feels like growth. And then it feels like a brand new door open to whatever you want, right? It's like, what do you want to call in now into your life? You get to decide again. You get to draw new plans and have big goals again. I really recommend you start thinking about those things now. Maybe you did 1st of Jan, but now is the time to really revisit that or to start that if you haven't quite done it then. This feels really expensive for the mind, for also your soul. And frankly, you deserve this. You deserve the next level. You have probably been, growing in wisdom, in resilience a lot in the last couple of years, and well freaking done. Seriously, you rocked it. You went through it. I think we went through a lot collectively and individually in the last couple of years. And we've all been feeling it, different degrees, but we are here, and that's the human experience. And so that's why I think it's a beautiful time, because this is coming to an end, not permanently, but the cycle is ending. And you get to choose and you get to start again, start fresh. Maybe this feels too hard and this all goes over your head, and that's okay. You'll get other chances in the future. You can just keep going. But you're not going to get those new big things, those new big rocks in your life if you want a new job, or if you want a new home, or if you want to change your relationship. Like, basically, if you want to change how you feel on a daily basis, that's not going to happen unless you go through that process of transformation, letting the old behind and then welcoming the new. But you can do it next year. There will still be the opportunities. And Neptune is in Aries for 14 years. So there is no rush, okay? So just see how much capacity and energy you have right now. But maybe you are really feeling that you've done the work, you've shown up, you've cleared a lot, and now you're ready to receive and you're ready to plan the next evolution. So I'm really excited for you getting into those times, and I felt really called to tell you that this is also the right time to get guidance to start something new. It's difficult to start something new by yourself, so have a look. I will link it in the show notes. I can help you. I can help you through life coaching. I can help you through career coaching, depending on what that next vision looks like. What are those bits? If it's a new job, career coaching is perfect and will get you there a lot faster than if you try to work it out by yourself. And if it's another personal goal, then life coaching is perfect. I will link both in the show notes so you can look at the information, you can peruse in your own time, and if that feels right to you, then reach out and then we can have a talk. Okay, and maybe also it is reading your birth chart in order to understand your patterns and your destiny, your way forward, who you are meant to be, what you're meant to be doing in this lifetime. Okay, that is really deep and so important. You know, that next vision, if it escapes you, the birth chart reading won't give you the answer. We provide the roadmap. So you can also do that now. It's a really good time if you don't know the answers yourself. And I think a lot of us don't, but I guarantee you it's a really powerful reading. So I'll put the link in the show note as well. So that's how I can support you, my friend, through those transitions, through letting go of the old and starting afresh. So that is my absolute wish for you as we get into April. So I'm going to wish you a beautiful month ahead. And I hope that you will take action on what you've been seeing in the last couple of weeks, and that you're going to rid yourself of this stuff that you no longer need, that you have outgrown, and you sort of get to the next version of yourself that is really ready to bloom. So take care, everyone, and I will speak to you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.